Y'all, so I was going through this deep dive where I was looking at different people's experience while traveling different parts of the world while being black, and it reminded me of the Negro Motorist Green Book. The Negro Motorist Green Book was a guide for black people in traveling from the 1930s on up into the 1950s. During that time, black men were able to get cars and black families were able to go on road trips. They was able to spend time with one another, but it did not come without racism. Driving while black was such a terrifying feeling, and during that time, it was so segregated and people were so racist towards black people that they couldn't even stop at gas stations or restaurants if they needed to take a nap while they're on their route. They had to take old ice cream buckets and have that in their car traveling with them because they used that as a restroom. But in 1936, a man by the name of Victor Green created a guide to help black people navigate through different neighborhoods and areas where they were more acceptable to black people or where there were black businesses that were owned. It started out in Harlem and then over a network of different black men going to different cities and states. And you have to be such a courageous soul to do this because you were walking into territories that you didn't even know if they even liked you, which means that you could potentially not go back home to your family. You could have been burned. You could have been lynched in some type of way. It was very terrifying. The Green Book for black people during that time was the Bible for them because it listed restaurants, salons, hotels. It listed places that were acceptable for black people to go and who would be there for us and who would help us along the way. And we can fully enjoy our vacations versus going to places where we didn't even know if we would make it out alive the next day. A lot of these places were called sundown towns. They were not acceptable of black people. And if they were, you can only be there only when the sun is up because when that sun go down, it better be gone. And that reminded me of the episode of Lovecraft Country when George was the editor of the Negro Traveling Guidebook and he was leaving to go to different cities to do his, duty. And at any time, anything could happen and he knew that. And so on this trip, Tick and Letitia ended up going, and they ended up going to this restaurant. Watch this.
I'm pretty damn good. I think I'll order that. If the waiter ever comes back.
There's 3 of them. Just sit down. I swear I didn't serve them. Not after what you did to Miss Lydia.
Uncle George? Remind me why the White House is white.
War of 1812. British soldiers put the executive branch to torch. Then later, when the slaves rebuilt it, they had to paint the walls white to cover up the burn marks.
Get your ass up! We gotta get the fuck out of here now!
Come on! Let me drive! Come on!
Unfortunately, during this time, when you have the guidebook and some of the places like Lydia's was available, the next day, Lydia could have been forced out. As you can tell, her building was burned and was renamed. So when black people come the next day or during that same time frame, word hadn't got out to let them know that, hey, this is not safe for us. So those were the chances that black people had to take. From 1936 to up into the 1960s, the Green Book was an essential part of black families and black travel. And it is what connected us even more during a time where we were forced to try to survive in a world who never liked us, around people who never liked us. The resilience and courage of our people at every turn is just so amazing. Thanks to Victor Green, thanks to all the black families that traveled those roads, that took those chances, because it has paved the way for what we are still able to do to this day. Victor Green said, "There will be a day sometime in the near future when this guide will not have to be published. This is when we as a race will have equal privileges and opportunities in the United States." So here it is. This is the 1940 edition of the Negro Motorist Green Book. It lists hotels, taverns, garages, nightclubs, because who don't want to turn up and have a good time and eat some good food at some restaurants that's nigga pies. Anywho, it lists all of this, and as you can see, there's Victor H. Green. He is the publisher. It starts with an introduction, tells you what his book is about, what his goal is to do. And then in Florida, if you're traveling there, you go through Jacksonville, you go to some hotels. There's different tourist homes that accept you. There are more cities. So it's just like a Bible for Black people, like I said before. And you can find this on Amazon. Have a good one.